Hello, Eurovision fam. Hello, Eurovision fam. And welcome to another Eurovision for Real podcast. And it wouldn't be a program with me if there wasn't a theme song, so we got to roll it.
Eurovision for Real with Alesia Michelle.
With Alesia, Michelle, and Eurovision fam's very own Augusto down in the DR. Now go on and just rub it in again and just tell us what the weather is looking like there today.
I'm back.
Okay, so is it beach weather? Can we go swimming in DR right now?
It's La Noya weather, sweetie, today. We can do the Aperol spritzes. We can
Oh my
be at
goodness.
the decks. We can be at the rooftops. We
Ugh,
can be at the beach. We
come
can
on.
be at the pools, at the backyards. We can be lounging. We can be turning
Look,
up.
look, Lanoya season might be one of my favorite seasons. It's just a time. Well, we're back because we were talking about the controversies of Eurovision 2024. And so we started off talking about national selections. And so now
Yeah.
we're going to be transitioning into pre-party seasons. Well, pre-party season, pre-parties, just period. And to see if there was any drama that emerged. Because here's the thing with pre-parties. It's like this is really the big test for some of these artists. Some of these artists, they aren't that seasoned. They maybe have done like one television show where they've been able to perform, but they haven't maybe had a whole bunch of experience performing in front of like real live crowds. And I should say like real live crowds that will kind of ignore you if they're not feeling you, sing along if they're feeling you, but also maybe even distract you, even if they are feeling you and you can get a little bit nervous. So, pre parties are a nice way for some of these artists to really get their feet wet. And then it's also an opportunity for the seasoned talent to sort of bring this song to life on stage and start getting a little bit maybe more comfortable with it. But, I do think pre parties can yield themselves to some controversy in the sense that, you know, it's almost like it reveals the truth. I'm gonna take us back to Eurovision season, the 2018 Eurovision season, and I'm gonna hone in on some of the pre-parties there, where then everyone realized that Belgium was probably not going to qualify. Okay, that was Senec.
Yeah.
Um, before, because the way that it was sounding was before it all, just screaming, hollering, unable to hit the notes. And, this was a situation where I would love to give grace because pre parties, it's exhausting and everything. But when we got on the Eurovision stage, our vocal was still not together. And she has no one to blame but herself because she decided to hit them notes because she wrote the song. So she greenlit putting herself in that situation. So that's just an example. But let's see. Okay, Augusto. And we don't have to start with the vocals, but maybe there was other things. Wait, you might know about this. In Spain, apparently there was a whole thing where some folks at one of the Spanish pre-parties couldn't
Mhm.
make it to like another pre-party or something because of the flights. And so it's not real drama, but I mean, we've been having, I would say ever since COVID, we've been having years of just flight travel being completely unreliable and crazy. And at the
It's
pre-parties
crazy.
this year, it reared its ugly head. So what happened?
Here's a funny thing. For the past few years, the pre-parties have been collided, all one after the other. So the order was Madrid, Barcelona, London, and then Amsterdam. So Madrid was fine. Nobody had issues with Madrid because Madrid was in love. But then Barcelona, London, Amsterdam, and Stockholm, which was the last one, all of them collided in consecutive weekends. So you had Barcelona on a Saturday, London on a Sunday, and then Amsterdam the following Sunday, and the Stockholm pre party the following Sunday. So crazy. So it happens that at the Barcelona pre-party, a couple of delegations couldn't make it to the London pre-party due to a mix of visa, travel restrictions, or flights couldn't make it work. So the London pre-party people revealed exactly which delegations didn't make it and the specific reasons. But Spain, Albania pulled out from London due to reasons that the London pre-party team explained. Look them up on social media to know those reasons. Those are public. And then more drama happened as delegations also pulled out from Amsterdam that originally was going to have, out of 37 delegations, they were meant to have 30, but in the end they had 2738 as Denmark and Poland pulled out because the artist got ill. So they ended up having 28 delegations in the end. And then the last pre-party in Stockholm was unchanged, but that was also pretty small. They had like 14, 12 delegations, something like that. It wasn't that big. So this year's biggest pre-parties were Madrid and Amsterdam. And I think for the next years to come, those will be the two big pre-parties of the season for years to come.
Okay, that feels pretty extensive. Now, I want to ask, so when we're talking about, because I would say the London pre-party seemed to be mired in some other narratives, and maybe we can talk more deeply about this, but it seemed like something had heated up in the boycott of it all, like right at the
Yes.
London pre-party. We didn't seem to have any of that showing up in Spain at all, but in London, I mean, I think there were folks, they were leafleting, so they were, that means handing out, like, flyers and posters. So I think I'm aware of that. And then I think there was, did they have like a speaker program? Did they have a little platform and a speaker program? I know Amsterdam, I think they had a platform and maybe a speaker program. They had a little stage and music. London, I think they were just taking it to the streets. Do you have any more information on that?
On Amsterdam, I don't. On London, I know it was like a protest outside of the venue and outside of the hotel the artists were staying, I believe. But in Barcelona, they did have another
Okay.
boycott outside of the venue as well, the
Okay.
same day of the pre-party.
Okay, but it did seem like the London one was very much so targeted on Ollie. I think the other ones have just been sort of in general, sort of the don't let Can participate this year. But it did seem like the London one was a little bit unique in the sense that they were really trying to bend the ear of the
Apparently,
artists that have that agreed, or and I should say that are now contractually obligated to perform at the Eurovision Song Contest.
Apparently so. Like the target on Ollie at the London pre-party was very evident. It has also been reported that the London pre-party even experienced a technical delay. Like the pre-party not only started about an hour late per what's stated on social media, what people were tweeting, it started an hour and a half late because all of the acts that were coming over from Barcelona were that successfully made it from Barcelona to London. All of them arrived late because of
Ah,
traveling
so then we had
issues.
our flight and travel issues back
There were
at
the
it
travel
again.
issues, and I mean everybody that successfully made it over from Barcelona to London arrived late. There were technical issues apparently. Apparently, Ollie's team declined to do press at the London pre-party. Allegedly, that's what's rumored on social media.
Okay,
The
this is
streets
the
and
Eurovision for Real podcast. So, allegedly we come in with the tea, piping hot, unverified sources. So allegedly.
So al- allegedly, Ollie's team declined to do press at the London pre-party, and it's also alleged that there were technical issues and other things, and that's what allegedly affected the London pre-party that um, impacted Ollie's humor at that event because of the little footage available of Ollie's performances at the preview events, you see that the little we have seen from Ollie at London is one face, is one thing, but Ollie outside of the UK is a completely different vibe. I do not know what's going on. We do not know 100% what happened, but it is alleged that technical issues and delays and other technical delays that happened at the event may have impacted into his performance. Oh, again,
Okay.
all alleged.
Okay, so we're talking about affecting performances. And like I said, the pre parties are that test. That's that nice taste tester. So I don't know, Augusto, how many pre party videos you've gotten into. I will say that I tend to avoid them unless I begin to see trends in the feedback. And so then
Yes.
I will begin to go, so it's like at the first pre party, I'm not really peeping the videos. It's the first time. Sometimes this is the first time some of the artists have even really performed these live in front of a crowd. They might have done a studio performance or something like that. So I don't really pay a whole bunch of attention. But once I start getting to seeing things like, oh, yet again, so and so showed up and it was blah. Yet again, then I kind of go, okay, now this is a pattern. Now could we be seeing some glimmers of this when it comes down to being on the big stage, the Eurovision stage? So who have you seen live? Because I've only seen like a couple of videos. I really haven't watched that many.
I can confirm that I watched all of the Madrid ones. Each and every
Okay,
single one of them.
coming on. We do our research here. If I'm not doing it, the team is doing it for you. But it's good that I don't know because then I can ask you all the right questions. Who was the standout live in Madrid?
For me, Madrid a standout. San Marino, they killed it. Nebulosa, home crowd, they
Home
did
crowd.
great.
Okay.
They did great. Baby Lasagna, he good.
Okay. Okay.
And we have to give props to Italy
Okay.
because this
Yes.
is the first year they are like fully into the promo tour. And
Hmm.
Angelina Mango, girl.
Well, we knew she was reliable. I mean, it's like if you can make it through San Remo, the questions about how you'll bring, how you will perform as a performer are strange to me. It's like if you did it at San Remo. Now, sometimes we might want to have questions because I'm looking at you, Blanco, because you had it together at San Remo, and then I don't know what happened on the Eurovision stage because you didn't have it together then. But alas, that's living in the past. I will tell you so. I'm gonna tell you. So, who disappointed you the most from the live videos that you've seen so far for the pre parties?
Um, Austria.
I mean, say more.
Austria, just, she's beautiful. She gives me the attitude. She's sassy. But where's her voice?
Okay, let me just say this. So, I will be honest. This is one of the trends that I picked up, and I think, see an early video, and maybe it was Madrid because wasn't Madrid giving us camera angles, multiple
Yes.
camera shots? Yeah, 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 yeah. So I saw that. So I will say with the stage presence and obviously the look of everything, it was great.
Yes.
Sonically, now y'all know I'm partial for a thick, rich vocal. Okay. I like a thick, rich, supported vocal. Listening to the studio cut of Colleen, I don't have any expectations of getting that thick, rich vocal, but I do have an expectation of getting a supported vocal, especially from a performer over the age, isn't she, over the age of 30.
She's 29.
Really?
She's 29.
Everybody's so young. Okay. So maybe I could give her a little bit of grace because perhaps the vocal has not, because the vocal hasn't lived. The vocal hasn't, the vocal hasn't experienced struggle. The vocal hasn't experienced, life. So I'll give a little bit of grace. But I will tell you, the vocal tone is not for me. Now, could I tolerate it with giving me a visual? Because I always say this, if you ain't going to give me a vocal, you damn sure need to be bringing me a visual. Okay? And I wouldn't say that she hits bum notes, so that's not the issue. But the quality of the vocal tone, I find challenging. And given the awful sound experiences that we've had at Eurovision lately, I don't even know if this sound team of engineers will do what they need to do to make the tone a little bit more palpable for someone like me. That's I think what I'm struggling with ever so slightly. So Augusto, that's just me. That's just me. And and again, I just want to be clear. I'm not saying that her voice is bad, and I'm not even saying she was hitting bum notes. I'm just saying the particular quality of the tone I find challenging for my sonic journey, but I know she's giving me a vocal. Okay, Augusto, what do you want more from that vocal?
I wanted to hear more of her vocal because at the Madrid pre-party, I barely listened to her vocal. And then at other clips from the other pre-party performances she made, you could barely listen to her sing. Like, barely a word from the vocal. Like, barely anything. Like, the stage presence, there. The charisma, there. The dance moves, there. That's all it has. She will sell me the song with her charisma and the dance moves. But where is the vocal?
Well, that's fair. And I did remake this song on one of my mashups. I did do a mashup featuring the song. And look, like the song is not a vocally, this is not a vocally challenging song per se, but I think the whole package of it is most certainly challenging. Here's the thing. Did it make you nervous for how this is going to be interpreted on the stage? And
Totally.
oh, it did. Okay. It
Totally.
did. Okay. Okay.
Totally.
I think for me, I still feel like in Semi 2, it's making it.
Yeah.
But I do think there were some people who are kind of like, ooh, can we get like a dance girl winner? And it's like, not from this track. It's not going to
Not
happen.
her. It's
No,
not
no, no,
her.
no,
No.
no. Can I just say, um, uh, Deux Points, the Eurovision blog, it's like Dude Point,
Mm-hmm.
is wrote a piece that I found really interesting where it was just like, Colleen's journey for Eurovision isn't about winning or even I think becoming a creative director or something. It's about could she get in the pipeline to then work her way up to then replace Martin Osterdahl, which I was kind of like, ooh, I would be here for that. I would be here for that. I was like, I didn't even make the connection, but I would be here for it because I do think that there is something to be said for the golden era of Melody Festivalen that was basically built and crafted by Krister, who, although you could say some things about Krister as a performer, but Krister understood performers enough to make Melody Festivalen this attractive thing that you want to participate in, this thing that can produce hit music in a country and outside. I mean, has
True.
produced your like Krister era has produced Eurovision winners. And so I do think to myself, what if you actually had someone who has some actual like real performance experience at the helm of coordinating Eurovision? To me, that would only make the song contest better. It would help the universality of it. And I think it would set it up to attract more top talent. So then it becomes just a bigger deal just off the strength of the names that you're going to have associated with the contest. And I mean, it was an interesting piece. I would be here for it. I would be here for, yeah, executive supervisor Colleen from Austria. I would be here for it.
That's
Mm-hmm.
a narrative. One, I need to read it.
Yes.
I want to read it. Send me that link. And two, I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
I mean, it will be a game changer. Okay, so we're deviating a little bit. Okay, but so we're sort of split. You're like, okay, this made me a little bit nervous. I might have to hold my breath a little bit.
Yeah.
But for me, I'm kind of like, I think it still makes it, but given the way the tone is coming across live and the technical fears that I have when it comes to the sound mixing at Eurovision, I'm like, the vocal might be sounding too shaky for some people at home.
Yeah.
But were there any other vocals? Because I will say there is one performer. Well, hold on. Let's go back to Ali because some people were coming for Ali for his performance, and the video that I saw, it seemed like maybe he wasn't selling it. But sonically, the vocal seemed fine. But some people were saying the vocal was off, and I think sometimes people conflate the visual with the vocal, and so I don't know. Ali sounded fine to me from what I heard at the pre-party, but there were some people trying to poke holes in the vocal.
In Madrid, it was fine. In Madrid,
Yeah.
it sounded pretty good.
Okay.
I don't know what people are hating. Like I think the only pre-party he had an issue with, allegedly, seems to be the one in
London.
in home turf in London.
Right.
At the other ones he attended, no issues have been reported.
Okay. Well, what other vocals are we concerned about from the pre-parties?
Poland, for some people.
Well, and I think with Poland, it wasn't even the pre-party. There was like there was like a morning show, which I'm like, y'all got to give grace for people at like 7, 8 in the morning. Like,
I mean, yes.
but actually, let me take that back. We can give grace, but looking for a miracle. Waiting for the sun to catch me. And then what? Broken bodies. Okay. Okay. This is not a vocally challenging song, though. Okay. That's what I was trying to get at. I was like, hold on. Let me just dupe. You know whose song is actually vocally challenging that I don't think people are giving credit to her? Cilia. That is not an easy song. That's a pretty high register to be in at a prolonged period of time and doing choreography on top of it.
I did watch a clip from her. The only pre-party she attended was Amsterdam.
Okay. Oh, how does she sound?
She sounded good.
Okay, good. All right then.
She sounded good. From the little clip I watched, kudos to her. 17 years old and doing all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And not giving a bomb note in a 30-second clip. Kudos to her.
But people were coming at her. Well, you know what they did? They did the acoustic. Y'all know I am long in these streets of, why are you giving, like, what was it? Remember when we had the acoustic version of Loco Loco? Like, talk about giving me some content that I don't need and Shirley didn't want. We could have done a rendition of I Want to Dance with Somebody, and that I would have been here for. But she did an acoustic version, 'Cause you're a liar. Like, why? Like, there are sometimes when people do like an acoustic version of something where it like flips it and you're like, oh my gosh, like I can appreciate the song in so many different ways because like, whoa, like what is this? I don't need an acoustic version of Liar, but I think it was posted and I saw like there were comments of people saying that she sounded bad, but you know what it was? I don't think she sounded bad, but her voice did sound tired. And so all that needs is go to bed, stop talking to people, get off TikTok and watch what's that TV show all the kids like? Royals? Is that one? Is that like, are the teens into that?
Young Royals?
Yeah, Young Royals. Yeah, Young Royals. Yeah, she just needs to have a nice weekend with the latest season of Young Girls, and she's gonna respond to this and be like, "Girl, I already watched it." And so then I'm gonna be like, "Well, dang, okay, what else we got for you?" I'm like, there are plenty of teen dramas that are dropping. Actually, well, I shouldn't recommend this, but have you watched Baby Reindeer?
No.
Oh my God, you have to watch it. It's on Netflix. It's crazy. Yes, trigger warning, but it is life altering in the best way, and everybody has to watch Baby Reindeer. Okay, back to it. Okay, but we were talking about Luna, and I don't know, it's not a vocally challenging song, but I will say I am like at first I was kind of thinking, oh yeah, Poland's in there. But I'll tell you, I don't think we're gonna get Luxembourg, Poland, and Cyprus. And right now, it's looking like Cilia is definitely edging out Luna. Lest we forget, the Poles were pissed off again this year with their selection process because they wanted Justina, and then they got Luna. But I will say, I'm the one who built a tower. I like it. I mean, it's
It's
a solid,
cute.
yeah, it's a solid studio cut. But I am concerned for the execution of it. And people are feeling all comfortable, like, well, Blanca made it last year. Yeah, well, Blanca executed well last year. She sounded way better. The staging was cute. It felt like summer. And I mean, again, it was executed well. The issue, and Blanca was not in as tricky and tough as a semi as Poland is in this year.
True.
And so yeah, like I'm just like, look, we can't pretend like Poland has a perfect qualification record and they always make it and the diaspora is always on their side. Like the numbers do paint a different picture.
And also, we need to add that Poland does not always stage correctly
That is
every
true.
year.
That is true. That
They
is true.
they are a hit or miss when it comes to staging. Like Blanca's staging last year
It was
was
cute.
was crazy, but it worked on
No, it worked. It was
TV.
so cute. It was so, when I saw it, I was like, this is fresh. I was like, this is just fresh. Like, does it make me like the song more? No. No, it does
But
not.
it worked.
But it
It
worked.
worked.
It worked. Okay, so who else? So Luna, do you think Poland's making it though?
So, I'm torn.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they make it, I think they're squeaking in. Oh, but if they're getting in, I think Cyprus is out. And to be fair to Cilia, and y'all know I don't love Liar either. To be fair to Cilia, if she like sings that perfect and is doom pop pop on the stage, cat cat with the choreography, and she doesn't make it, I would feel bad for her. Like I would kind of be like, dang, and then Poland just gets through off of a non-vocally challenging song.
Honestly, had there been juries this year, Cyprus would be a lock
Oh yeah, yeah,
opening the
yeah, yeah,
show.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
They
I
would be
agree
a
with that.
lock opening the show
I agree with
had
that.
there been juries in the mix.
I agree with
But
that.
other vocals that from the Madrid pre-party, because that's the one where I watched every single clip that I can easily remember that worried me. Not that I can recall as we speak, because I watched them weeks ago when they were dropped. But I would like every performance. I have to give props to the Eurovision Spain team, and I want to publicly thank them to welcome our site for a second year to their event.
Yes.
Shout out to Jordan, who did an amazing job for Eurovision fam.
Come on, shortcake.
Yeah, Shortcake ESC, we love you. Um, and they did an amazing party. A lot of people were. Oh, this is some online drama that happened. The Spanish fans were a little irritated that the Madrid pre-party didn't have a stream as it
Oh.
normally has.
Okay, that's
It
right.
had in the past. But
Okay.
honestly, the fact that the organizers sacrificed the live stream for giving us really well post-produced
Agreed.
video
Agreed.
with better quality audio and the
Yes.
camera angles. Thank you. We love you. Your Vision Spain, great job. Great
Agreed.
decision. Thank you. Um, yes.
Well, okay. So we only talked about our female performers. Did anybody else Well, let me just say, I think pre-parties actually helped Switzerland to overtake Italy in the betting
They
odds. I
did.
think that happened because I think a lot of people, and I mean, it was fair to be like, okay, are they going to be able to do this live? And Nemo can.
And the
Nemo
Amsterdam
can.
and the Amsterdam pre-party elevated juiced.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I have been saying in the bubble that because here's the thing. I think in the bubble, people are kind of discounting the Netherlands. I think the locals, and I think I've been kind of consistent on that, that I'm like, no, this is just pulling on, kind of tap dancing on too many likes and too many like things that folks just go, yeah, that, like, yep, that.
If any song in 2024 can replicate to a heartbeat the Katia effect, I can attest 100% from the bottom of my heart is the Netherlands. I am confident.
Okay,
I may
okay.
sound I may sound delusional saying this, but if any song in 2024 can replicate that same effect in the locals and can blow up the televote the way Katia did last year, it's going to be the Netherlands.
Yeah, I just, it's just doing, it's just doing so many things that I think are crowd pleasers. Now, I will give the people who are like splitting the votes a little bit of credit. I do think the televote is being pandered to from a variety of countries. And
Yes.
so I do think that that could hurt that overall ending score, but I've been kind of consistent that I'm like, I really could see the Netherlands being like the televote winner. Uh, but I think as of now, I'm living in a world where I don't know if it'll manage above fifth place in the juries. It could. I can do the math. Like,
It
I've
could.
been consistent. No, I've
It
been
could.
consistent, but I am thinking that you might have some people like, we just gave it to you. My brain is kind of in a place to give the shine elsewhere, to maybe a
True.
road that I have not traversed lately. So, yeah. But yeah, were there any male performers that we were kind of oh, you know who we haven't talked about? Musti. A lot of people
Oh,
are saying Musti's. I don't know how many pre-party performances it's been. I felt like there was one pre-party performance that was good, but then I felt like there was another one that had everyone kind of like, oh, this is it. And then I will say this is not a pre-party thing, but I guess Musti performed on like what, The Voice Belgium or something.
yeah.
And I did see that performance, and I'll tell you, it is something visually about it that will turn some people off because it feels messy. But I also will say, I think when people are now seeing it performed live, the fair criticism that has been kind of haunting this song about it taking so long to take off, I think that's what people are experiencing it. Because if you're just listening to a studio cut, you're kind of imagining like, oh, we fade. You're kind of being eased in, you're closing your eyes. But when you see it live, it's kind of like, okay, we're still here. Okay, we're still here. So then when you get to the before I think people haven't even had enough time. Well, one, it's like, one, people might have already tuned out. So that's one.
Yes.
And I think in the pre-party spaces, this isn't the type of song that does well in a pre-party audience.
Yeah.
It's dramatic, it's a little bit more serious. So I think the remarks that some people had of like, man, the crowd wasn't even into Belgium song. It's like, well, why would they be? They're drinking, they're at a club night. Like that's not really the vibe. The vibe is, yo sé que soy solo una tora. It's we will rave. It's all of that.
It's
It's
true.
not so much, before the party is over. So I kind of was like, I don't want to judge it off that because I don't think that that's really fair. Like, yeah, you're going to have people tune out. But I think the part that is fair is we've seen people do ballads that just based off the vocal and kind of the production, it arrests you that no
Yes.
matter where you are and what you're doing, it stops you in your tracks. And I don't know if this song will do that enough en masse to really make a dent at Eurovision this year. I do think it could still come top 10, but I will say, based off that Voice Belgium performance, I was like, oh no, I could see some juries just being like, I don't get it.
I can, speaking of, although I completely agree with Belgium, I completely agree with your assessment. I also want to bring up the other big male voice of the year, France.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah,
Let me tell
yeah,
you one
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I watched his first pre-party performance in Spain that was in Barcelona. Sorry. That man, that voice, he is going to give a lot of countries a run for their money at the juries. However,
Not Switzerland, though.
not Switzerland.
Slamont, yeah.
Nemo, they're winning.
Yeah,
It's theirs, point
yeah,
blank.
yeah, yeah.
Because the combination of elements of that song are so unique and so special that it's very captivating. But
Mm.
France, girl,
Well,
it's going to give a lot of people a headache.
but it's interesting because France is performing in semifinal two.
Yes.
And so we need to start thinking. I mean, that's one of the things I'm really going to be analyzing this year. And I said this about semifinal one that I'm like, even though we had a ton of pop girlies sort of in the mix in semifinal one, I was like, we've got some solid pop boys from the queer quintet. Which yeah, if I did the queer quartet, but we also technically have the queer quintet going down. And so I think the polished slickness potentially of Lithuania and the UK could hurt a Poland, could hurt a Cyprus if those delegations are not really thoughtful on how they're actually going to stage this. I think they have to like really not just look at their semifinal competitors, they need to look at the big show. If it is, finishing, high up in the leaderboard that you are trying to achieve. So I would say with Musti could end up being hurt because people see what France does and they go, "Oh, we got that as an option? Yeah, that ain't doing what this one is." I do think I mean, I have to be real. I mean, France's song, although like really simple and kind of run of the mill lyrically, I listen to it more than Before the Party is Over. But as a composition, I do think Before the Party is Over is the more interesting track.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment.
Like, I mean, it's more dynamic, I think, but I do think Slamont like is going to sound good. And they really don't have to do a lot with the staging because France is unreliable with the staging, but they might actually just go on and keep it simple this year. I don't
They
even think,
need
yeah,
they can pull the same tricks that they did with Barbara Pravi in 2021.
yeah.
Keep it simple.
Well, they're not
That's
going
it.
to. It's just I think they just need to recreate that video, the showcase,
And
the
that's
live video
it.
performance, and just keep it at that. But give him another top because we've had the reflective tops multiple times, and no, like we could have something better. Yeah, I mean, and France has gotten like real designers before, so let's call Christian, Dior. Let's call Gautier. Let's see like
I mean,
yeah, let's see who's managing the
Jean
house.
Paul has already dressed up the French delegation before.
No, that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, let's just call in the houses and get them to put something together. It'll be worth it, France. It'll be worth it. Um, okay, so I guess we can move beyond the pre-parties a little bit, and because we're talking about controversies. So I mean, I feel like the only other controversial thing is obviously the continuing sort of, I don't know if I want to call it a shadow, but it's like I almost want to call it the pivot, but the continuing backdrop with which, and I think backdrop is right. The fact that Eurovision is happening, while war rages on in Gaza and the presence of Israel at the Eurovision Song Contest this year. And so this is not about personal opinions right here, but I mean, I will just say I think the big controversial thing of this year is anytime any mainstream press is going to talk about Eurovision this year, they're going to be talking about the Israel Palestinian conflict. Period.
Yes.
And they're probably going to relate to a lot of the artists based off of the artists' stances and what they've said. And I find that so deeply unfortunate for these folks that these singers, these performers are now going to be kind of reduced down not to their song and talent and contribution to Eurovision, but their personal political position on, Israel's participation and the conflict that has been raging on for years, but obviously escalated on October 7th. It's just, I think that to me is the most unfortunate thing because, this is a lot of folks' introduction to the world. And it's going to be different. It's going to be different for them.
It's going to be truly different. And it's making the biggest opportunity of their music careers very bittersweet. My heart goes out to all the artists this year because they're all being impacted by the situation. I know that all of them, in some way, somehow, have seen themselves having to make a statement about this situation. Over the last couple of days, over the last couple of weeks, to be more exact, we've seen a group of artists making a joint statement. Then some of those involved in that joint statement then making individual statements either on their public broadcasters or to their local media being asked about their stances on the conflict or their stances about the Israeli participation in the debate that the presence of Israel this year has surrounded the contest, and the calls for boycotting the contest have provoked into this year's context. It's been a doozy. The next couple of weeks, since we are just days away from rehearsals to formally begin as we're recording this podcast, it's going to be a doozy. The contest is just a little over 2 weeks away from happening. Let's hope the best happens in Sweden to everyone that is attending in person to any of the shows at Malmo Arena, and that nothing happens to the contestants, to the delegations, to everybody involved of making Eurovision happen. And let's hope that our most beautiful musical party in the world happens in peace. That's the best thing I can say in the middle of this situation.
Well, that was beautiful. I want to be clear that, no matter what your personal political opinions are, that never really gives you the right to physically or emotionally badger and attack anybody.
True.
I've been very clear about that, and I will say it explicitly. I think some of the messages and the way that people have been talking about Eden, like Israel's representative, are vile. I mean, it's just like, that ain't it. And guess what? It's completely not productive. This is not going to further your cause. And look, I don't tell people how to boycott, but I do think we can have a conversation about how we treat each other and how we treat people. And so some of the calls that I've seen there have been vile, but also I would say from some of those same folks attacking some of these other artists because they are now contractually obligated to perform at Eurovision, and you want them to not uphold that contractual obligation. And it's just not that simple. And if we were dealing with all major artists, I maybe would have if we were talking about the Taylor Swifts and the Beyoncés of the world, I would maybe have a different conversation because it's like, you got the money. If they want to sue you for it, you can afford it. Like, you can afford it.
Truly.
I mean, and maybe even Marco Mengoni. He's paid. Marco's got many. Like, so if we were dealing with Marco, you're paid. Like, you'll be fine. But like a Bambi Thug, a completely independent artist, like a Saba, I don't even know if Saba has like a full record deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like they ain't got money like that. And most of the people that, if you're like a new artist, you probably owe your label money. So now you're basically working just to pay off that debt. You know that you already owe them, because the music industry is awful and a complete corporate. Okay, don't let me get on this soapbox. But anyway, no, but seriously, I just think anyone attacking artists, like, it makes no sense, or attacking other fans. You could feel what you feel and fight for it and still be respectful. Like, I'm sorry, it's possible. Like, it really is possible. But I will say, I think for me, just the biggest thing is, I think if you ask me, could the EBU have done more? The short answer is yeah. I mean,
Yes.
obviously, this is your playground. You dictate the rules over here, and you kind of create the parameters with which everyone has to play in. So, could you have done something? Yes. But here we are. Eurovision is just a few weeks away. And so they've made their position clear that they ain't gonna do nothing else. They ain't gonna do nothing else. And the unfortunate and controversial piece of this, or it shouldn't be controversial, is for the participants, this is not going to be the global introduction that they could have had, and the global launch pad to their careers that it could have been. And for that, I am deeply sad, because really I kind of got into Eurovision a little bit for the community and stuff, but I worked in radio. So I was like, I want more people to know about these artists and whatnot. And it's just so very clear to me that this year it ain't going to be that.
Sadly.
Yeah, it ain't going to be that this year. It's just not going to go down that way. And my heart, like, truly, like, my heart hurts for all the participants, because this year is just going to be a different energy. But I will say that makes me feel more fervent of, like, what can we do as content creators to really celebrate them? You know,
Yeah.
to really highlight the music, the songs and stuff. That's sort of where I'm stuck at right now. Yeah, I don't know. It's just unfortunate. It's just unfortunate. And I mean, and I should just say, like, I hope, like, when folks are consuming this, we do have a donate page. So I will probably put that information in the chat, because, you know, words are hollow, action is real, and money is green and makes the world go round. So, like, I think it's really, really important that if you are have the ability to give to some of these nonprofits that are on the ground dealing with a lot of the humanitarian crises happening around the world right now, that you go on and do that. I don't know. I don't know if I want to end it there, because that feels really dark. I'm like, I don't know if I would have ended there. I mean, but it's true. I mean, and maybe it's not dark, maybe it's hopeful. I really do hope that Eurovision this year, although there's a lot of strife happening in the world, and stuff is just way more divisive than ever, we can just kind of go back and center people and center
Yes.
humanity. And again, like, we all can't hop a private plane and go over and help ourselves, but we can, you know, give to the organizations that are doing the work. And I think that that's really important. And maybe I will use that to close out. This was another episode of the Eurovision for Real podcast. If you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? You don't want to miss an episode. And our season is almost coming to a close, but I am going to be in Copenhagen. There are more, Copenhagen, Malmö. There are more episodes coming for you to highlight these artists. So please, please keep it locked here. And thank you so much for listening.